Hey, sports fans, Coach Nick here, and welcome to our halftime show between the Warriors and the Grizzlies. It's an interesting game and certainly a different Warriors team than we were used to seeing without question. So let's jump on here and start to look at some of my notes because I had some interesting ideas here. What comes to mind right away is that they were a lot more aggressive, the Warriors were, on defense, really trying to make plays and push the ball. Because remember, what's been happening so far is that the Grizzlies haven't been turning the ball over that much. So as a result, the Warriors can't get in transition. And when you get the Warriors in a half-court game, they're kind of average, and that's what we've seen. And the problem with average for them is that means that they don't look as good as they would normally do. So that's the thing. That's such a big dichotomy between what they would look like in the regular season, and we kind of knew that. So the point also wasn't necessarily that they were a jump shooting team per se, and that wouldn't work in the playoffs. It was that they relied on their scoring to make their defense better. Because remember, the more they score, the more they're back in position to play defense. And there's definitely a strong correlation between good scoring teams and that almost improving their defense because they're not having to run back off of live ball turnovers or long rebounds. So that's been really killing them a lot. Now, the big adjustment we saw by the Memphis Grizzlies was Bogut guarding Tony Allen, which was great. It really seemed to throw off the Grizzlies' rhythm on offense. So they were leaving him alone. He hit one shot in transition, which I vined, and it was a pretty crazy shot, for him. But then he missed, I think, three after that, and they were all exactly the shots that the Warriors wanted to take. Now, if he's that wide open, then he's going to have to just drive it in and see if he can create. But that also opens up a can of worms because we know that Tony Allen does not handle the ball well, doesn't pass particularly well. So it's a real conundrum. And it looked to me, I got to check some more of the numbers on the substitution patterns, but it felt like to me that Dave Yeager had to take him out earlier than he wanted to because it wasn't working. Also, we caught him a couple times getting beat backdoor. He got away with a huge hack, which made it look like he had recovered. But again, I did that breakdown of him, and I showed, as many good things as bad. So it wasn't like a hater video, but there's a lot of issues here with the way Tony Allen plays defense. And it's not hard to get, in my mind, a little bit more discipline and apply all that amazing energy he has in a more disciplined, efficient manner, and then he would be better. So that was a big issue. Let's move on to our first graphic, which is going to be the stats for the game so far. So what we had here is at the end of one, you can see the Warriors took a commanding lead, an 8-point lead, which is a good lead to start out with, and 28 points is really, a nice pace for them, and the Grizzlies were having some trouble. So let's move on to, let's see here. So who were the main culprits on the Warriors side? You had Draymond Green hit a couple threes, and in rhythm looked aggressive. It looked really good. And so he had 11 points and 5 rebounds. That's like a good game for a lot of guys for the whole game. Now, Steph Curry looked like he kind of got off on track a little bit, but he was still a little bit out of control, in my opinion, trying to do too much. And that's another issue as well. So he's going to have to kind of get back on balance, even though he still hit some shots. And then the other guy was Klay Thompson. Again, was forcing some stuff. I don't like a lot of those shots, even if he's that much taller than the defender. So I like it much better when we see him taking shots, catch and shoot, maybe catch and shoot or catch and shot fake and break him down instead of 5 dribble ISOs. That takes care of the first quarter. And then Harrison Barnes doing nicely, even for him, 3 for 7 is a little bit low for him because he usually gets pretty easy shots. Moving on to Memphis, we have they didn't score very well at all, and you can see here they shot 41% and 25% on threes. I'm not so sure they're going to want to take 8 threes in a quarter again, and they didn't shoot very well on those. So the guy that did the most for them was Mike Conley, doing very well, and he hit a couple threes and looked good. That's going to make them really dangerous if Mike Conley can shoot from outside and really pull that defense out. It's something he's done okay, and if he can continue to shoot well, then the Warriors are going to have their hands full. At the half, we can see this a pretty commanding lead again. But again, on the road, it's tough. The Warriors are going to have to, continue playing this well to avoid the grinded out, which is certainly possible. Again, we can see here that Steph Curry went off in the second quarter and now has 21 points. and he's shooting quite well. So that was another one. I know I said he was a little bit out of control for my taste, but he did get some shots to go in. That one toward the end when he hit about a 35-foot shot was one of those, just F it, I'm going to shoot it, I don't care. So interesting stuff here. And other than that, though, they're not getting much production. Draymond Green, didn't score in the second quarter. So they're going to have to find production from some other places, because I suspect that Curry is, probably going to level off a little bit. I don't think he's going to get another 21 points with what they have on defense. On the flip side here, you had Marc Gasol come alive, but he's shooting really too low. He had moments when he had David Lee on him, and they didn't go to him, but they scored a bit. So the David Lee thing is a real problem because, even if he wasn't scoring on him, they were scoring off of action that he was involved in, and it was a real problem for the Memphis Grizzlies. So interesting stuff happening here. What the Grizzlies have to be careful of, though, is they don't score that well. And if they get down by a certain amount of points as the game gets later, there simply is no way they're ever going to catch the Warriors. That will be later into the fourth quarter, but that's the game I like to play, where I would say, okay, how many more points do the Warriors need to win this game? If they're up 18 with 5 minutes to go, we know that the Memphis Grizzlies will not score, 15 or 18 points in 5 minutes. So that's a real problem. The clock is going to work against them because they are so great at deliberately attacking and letting that shot clock go all the way down. So we'll have to see if they can get some serious stops in a row to begin that third quarter to get this game under control again. But we'll have to see how that goes. Now I got some video for you. Who's ready for some video? Let's break down a couple plays here I got all set up for you, which is, where did it go? Let me grab them. I guess I didn't open it. Hang on for 1 second. I thought I did. Oh, I did. Hang on. All right, live TV we have here. There it is. All right, so let me screen share that baby. All right, it's not coming up. Let me do that one more time. Google Hangouts is always a little bit wonky. Huh. Okay, well, it's not letting me share my QuickTime, which is very, very, very strange. It's never happened before. Let me try that one more time, just for fun. All right, otherwise, what we can do is go to, we can go to, maybe that's an interesting thing that they changed. Oh, here we go. I got it. Sorry, forgive me. Okay, so our first play is a steal by Clay. Let's turn the sound off so we're not distracted here. Midway through the first quarter, if you can see this, it's a little stuttered, I know, but we're streaming here, so this is as good as we're going to get, but it's kind of like a slow motion feel for you. So here we have a little side pick and roll with Tony Allen kind of getting in the way here. I'm not really sure what he was doing, actually. He might have been out of the wrong spot, because obviously they wanted the good stuff, which is Gasol screening for Mike Conley. So you can see Conley comes around the inside screen. Now watch Clay. Look at this hustle as he bumps down hard, goes after that ball by Gasol. Obviously, you like Klay Thompson pressuring Gasol's dribble. That's a great way to blow up a side pick and roll when there's no help on the weak side here. Klay Thompson can be the guy to grab that not good pass by Conley. So this was an indication of them being much more aggressive on defense. Good to see. Let's see here. Our next clip is a little bit later in the period, which is, okay, here's the thing. We talked about no middle defense. Okay, let me see. Perhaps you didn't see that last one. Unfortunately, they changed the settings on this as well, where it doesn't screen share automatically, but here we go. Hopefully you can see this. We have Marc Gasol posting up on the left block. He loves the left block turning the middle. We talk about no middle all the time, and here's one of the reasons, is watch how it happens when he gets to the middle. First of all, probably a foul, but they don't call it oftentimes. Excuse me. And then Marc Gasol gets a running one-handing fadeaway hook shot, and it goes in. Look at that shot, right in. When you guys let people go middle, invariably, these kind of shots happen. This is why I always stress no middle. It's because they get crazy shots like this. So for some reason, when you force them to the baseline, those shots are not as easy because you're shooting it from the side angle. Our next shot is, okay, here comes Zebo down low. Now, Zebo for the half is got 9 points and 8 rebounds, doing really well. If he ends up getting 18 and 16, that's a really good a really good game for him. They're not doubling down low. This is going to be a problem. They really should look at doubling a little bit, because certainly with Draymond, he doesn't handle him that well down here. He scored 3 or 4 times in the first half. So watch. They clear out very nicely, and there's plenty of space here where they can come over and double, perhaps with David Lee, and bump down off of Kufos. But they don't do that. Face up, easy. They're going to have to adjust that if they want to get back in this game, if they want to keep this off. Now, of course, Golden State's up by a lot, so it doesn't matter to them. But that's going to be an issue at some point that they might have to change. Coming up, our next clip is, okay, we've talked about this before. When you are getting screened, let me go back a little bit. You are the one who should be calling switch, because you know if you can get through or not. Here, Vince Carter decides to switch on his own, doesn't talk. Udry has him, doesn't really need to switch. He could be on a full sprint, turn and run, and get in front of him. So now what happens? They both are on the ball. Easy pass back to Iguodala, wide open 3, and he nails it. That's the one shot he can hit from that spot wide open. This is why it has to be Udry calling the switch, not Vince Carter, ever. So it happens again. Well, Vince Carter gets caught out of position again. Here they simply cut Klay Thompson through. They do a little pin down in the corner for Curry. This is a little bit of a pistol action. You try to pin down for the corner, and he comes for the dribble pitch. So Vince Carter now bumps down, which is sort of okay, but he doesn't need to be that low, especially because Udry is now bumped down, hustled his butt off to get in there. So now they're double teaming Bogut, which they don't really need to do, and Vince Carter is stuck down there. Easy pass for the corner 3, and he hits again. So these are the things that are really hurting the Grizzlies' defense. And if they don't clean that stuff up, then they're really going to be in trouble. So now let's go over to my buddy Jeff, who's got some questions from you guys on Twitter. And let's see what we have here. The first question here is, can you think of any other time this season the team has stopped the Splash Brothers in 2 games, and how did they? Actually, I cannot. I don't think they did have 2 games in a row like they've been doing. And you can see that it didn't play out again this game either. Steph went off. So there's your answer. Next question. I feel a big part of the Warriors' success this series will hinge on Harrison Barnes. No Grizzly can guard him. Hey, I love Harrison Barnes. When he posts up a 2-guard down low, he's unstoppable down there. He's getting nice stuff in transition, so he's a real big X factor. If they get a big game out of him, they should win these games. If Tony Allen is first-team all-defense, what 3-point shooting team is he on? I don't understand what that is, but here's the problem is the second half is now starting, so I mistimed this because of our snafu. So I will get to your questions at the post-game show. Come back. We're just going to turn this off, my camera off, but we'll be still broadcasting right at the same spot. So come back here for the post-game show. We'll give you our thoughts. Thanks for joining us, sports fans. And don't forget, at BBallBreakdown, we're not a channel. We're a conversation. You in? All right, sports fans, we are back for the post-game show. And wow, what a game that was. In the third quarter, the Golden State Warriors came right out the bat and ended the game effectively very quickly, like we had said might happen in the halftime show. Basically, once they got up, I had said they were up by about 20-something at the end of the third quarter, and I knew that the Grizzlies weren't going to score 30 points in that fourth quarter. I mean, they only scored 19. And they only scored 20 in the fourth quarter. The most they scored all game was 24. And I wouldn't expect them to score too much more than 24, 25 in a quarter. So if you see that happen coming up forward, that's a real problem. So make sure you guys all get in here. I think I might have forgotten to retweet this link one last time, but let's get as many people as we can in here to celebrate this Warriors win or lament the Memphis Grizzlies loss. It was a real tough one, but the Grizzlies, I don't think expected to sweep both these games. They got their win in Golden State, and now they got their other win. So we're on par here for a 7-game series. This is going to be great, and we got some things to talk about. So let's break into it right away because I want to go through a couple of clips here. The big news in the beginning of the game was obviously putting Bogut on Tony Allen, which then meant that they were starting Green on Gasol and Barnes on Zebo. Very unorthodox. Love it, by the way, though. Always love when you can see coaches get in the way and muck up the game and affect it that way. And the Grizzlies had no answer from the get-go. So let's look at the first few possessions. I'm kind of curious how that played out. I'm not even sure that they realized in the beginning who was guarding whom. And so it became a real problem. Let me see here. Did I lose one of my things here? Okay, here's, oh boy. All right, so here's the one of them. Here's the beginning of the game. I'm going to have to double click at some point here. So let's look at the beginning here, because this is going to be a little interesting as you see them come down. Let me turn the sound off. As you see them come down, you'll see here's Bogut running down the court, and they're already like almost not used to ready to do this. So he points it out, and then look, Bogut's guarding Allen here. Then you have Draymond Green coming up to Gasol, and Harrison Barnes picks up Zebo. So what do they do? Obviously, the Grizzlies already had a play in mind to start the game, which is not a bad idea to have in their pocket. But then they don't take advantage, because obviously what they should do is go right to Pau Gasol in the low post on Green with his back to the basket. Instead, they run a little pin down for Mike Conley, and there was an opportunity for a nice double to Zebo. So I like this. Harrison Barnes is not in position. But look, this allows Bogut to come way over without and not have to worry about it, because they can rotate. Here comes Draymond Green, a great defender who can split both Gasol and Tony Allen and not really worry about Tony Allen up here too much. And they end up getting the ball on a good shot, but Gasol doesn't hit it on the pressure. And here we go. It gets back to Tony Allen, who kicks it back out. So now let's see if they adjust. Okay, so here, back to the basket on the high post, which isn't the best advantage for the Grizzlies, but they have it here. They do a little pinch post action, and there is Courtney Lee. And might I add, if you notice the turn and the hop, right? Let's see here. It's hard to see, but I'm pretty sure he hops, and he's got a serious turn going to his left. Yeah, I'm going with a hop on that one. He kind of gets in the air. He's look at that turn all the way. He's facing the G at the baseline, and he gets a nice turn. And then look at the air, how he turns even more. He's really he's more than 90 degrees on that landing. So hits the shot. So they end up benefiting anyway out of that second shot, which is what happens anyway. Next possession down. Let's see here. Here is Bogut. He's on Tony Allen. Draymond is waiting for Gasol, and we got Harrison Barnes on Zebo. Don't forget, if you want to ask questions, use hashtag BBallShow, and I'll answer them in this post-game show. So here we go. High screen and roll. Again, they're not taking advantage of Gasol down low, which I think they should right away all the time when they have this alignment. They do a high screen and roll. Clay gets underneath it because, remember, Clay doesn't mind going underneath this screen against Conley. He gets around it quick. There is also a Harrison Barnes shadowing nicely. And then Draymond can help out as well, a little bit one pass away, but because the spacing is short on Gasol, he can do that. So now we have they strip it. It goes off of Conley into traffic, and they get a stop. Okay, we come back again. Golden State's up 3-2. Now, let's see if they make a recognition. Again, another high screen and roll. This time it's with Gasol. Again, they're not taking advantage of what they have, which would be Gasol down low on that left block. They spread it out. Again, they run him off that screen. And then here's interesting. They roll Gasol down to the low post. Green doesn't have the ability to handle the high-low, but they have Bogut here who can come over real quickly and get a shot. Now, terrible pass by Zebo right into the side where Draymond is, and he gets the deflection because Draymond's got a 7-foot wingspan. So he kicks it out. They get a fast break. And now, beautiful. Oh, okay. They don't get a finish, but there is Draymond running the floor nicely. So, again, now they're up 5-2 on the road. They're feeling a lot better about themselves, and it's a problem. I think that was it for this stretch. Okay, let's see here. And then they do it one more time. Let's see what happens. Again, another screen and roll. We haven't seen Gasol post up. We barely saw Zebo try. We saw they did throw the ball away on a high-low, but it wasn't a straight post up like they should be doing. And there it is. Okay, so this time in transition, they get caught with Bogut pretty much normal, which is on Gasol. And with nobody in the corner to rotate over, Bogut steps up, Clay is trailing too far, and they get a dunk. So they're able to get something out of this, but I would have liked to have seen a lot more of just straight post-ups in the beginning to take control of that. So that was one issue that they had. They're going to have to solve. Now, that said, there's no way in my mind that they're going to get away with that again. I feel like now that they've seen it and they're ready for it, they're going to attack that just like we said. You'll see if they do it again. And by the way, Steve Kerr should do it. He should start with it at least in the beginning to see what happens. But there's no way that that's going to work, in my opinion, again, for any sustained amount of time. But it gave the Warriors a chance to get steady, get themselves on balance. So let me just quickly grab the stats for the third quarter. Here we go. And let's share this baby. So first, let's look at how we did in the third quarter. Let me get all the way here to the beginning. Now, we have the third quarter. Although it's not switching to the one I want. Let me do that again. Sorry, guys. Here we go. This one. Okay. So end of the third quarter, you can see Golden State outscored them by 1. And that's just big. That's big because the Grizzlies needed to obviously do the other thing and really outscore them to cut back in that lead that they had at the halftime. Let's see here. For Golden State, we can see Steph Curry, again, continued his hot shooting, 10 for 18, 4 for 8 from the three-point line. And plus 20 here. Doing a lot of damage, pretty aggressive, good stuff. And he had 6 rebounds and 5 assists. That's really good stuff here, very active. And that actually balanced out Clay, who was not shooting well at all, forcing a lot of things. Didn't like how Clay played. So what we have here is Draymond Green, again, 13 points and 10 rebounds. So he's not scoring too much more in the third quarter. It was a lot of sort of Steph. And Iguodala came through with a couple threes, and I'll show you how he did that. Next we have, on this end, again, we have 3 guys in double figures, barely, Randolph and Jeff Green. So Jeff Green got into the scoring column a little bit, but again, he had some serious ish all over the place. So that was an issue. Let's move on to the end of the fourth quarter, end of the game here. So they finish up. It was a 17-point game. Not going to cut it. And we have our finals. Let's see here. Here's our final numbers. So with Golden State, Steph Curry, a monster game. 33 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists, 4 threes. Shot really well, got to the line. So that's the story of the game here. Draymond did some nice work, especially from 3. I like to see the 3 threes there, stretching the floor. And everybody else, was sort of ho-hum. And they got away with that, especially if they didn't have Maurice Spates to help them out on that. So, it was sort of more an issue, and they had 21 turnovers, so it wasn't like they took care of the ball very particularly well. However, here's the thing: 16 turnovers is about 4 too many for Memphis to handle. When they kept turning the ball over and giving the runouts to Golden State, it allowed them to, get into it and get easy shots. Marc Gasol, 7 for 19, having an advantage like he should, is really not going to cut it. And we're not going to see this again. I suspect that Gasol will not finish 7 for 19 again in the future. So that'll be different anyway. Randolph only 10 shots, didn't get to the line, and that's another issue there. So they're going to have to clean that up and figure out how best to handle that matchup. But anyhow, let's move on to I'm suspecting that you guys didn't see that because this is the interesting thing. All right, here we go. Well, here we are. So let's go to some questions, I think, if we can. If my buddy Jeff has them ready to go, let's see here. It looks like he's getting them all prepped. So we'll wait on a second there. Let me get some more of my notes here to see what we have. Oh, actually, I have a whole bunch of highlights to show you. So let me quickly grab those. And we'll share those because these were some interesting stuff I grabbed for you. So let me screen share and make sure to share it with everybody this time. Which one is this one? 726. Here we go. All right, so we have, okay, in the third quarter, our first one, what looked to me was that Clay was having trouble with the physicality. They were bumping. Let me get this and present, everybody. Forgive me. Clay had a problem handling the physicality. So what I noticed here was as on the catch in transition, which they like, they're pushing it up. They might get a good shot. Conley gets his hands into him. He's on top of him right away. He's getting really physical. The rest are letting him get away with it a little bit. And boom, he pulls up. It's not a bad look. He could see the rim and everything, but he misses the shot because there's an example of what got to them. Steph Curry was able to handle it better. Clay needs to figure out how to do that better to in order to be more effective in the next game. So later on, we have a steal here. Let me get over here. So we're going to show some more aggressiveness from the defense of Golden State. So a little bit stagnant here. Again, let's see how the matchups are playing out. They put Bogut later on in the third. Bogut is on Gasol, and let's see who is guarding. Aha! So they have Draymond on Tony Allen, but not really guarding him at all. So he's shadowing everything and basically playing his zone. Now, Clay is being physical himself, which is nice to combat that. Now, here's the thing. With Draymond on Tony Allen, he's really free to roam and double team and be really active, which is going to cause him problems. And here, already a fumbled catch on a repost. Here comes Draymond again, could completely leave Tony Allen. And Allen, by the way, isn't doing anybody any favors by being here because it allows Bogut to kind of be in the lane like a zone close enough to a man. And he steps up and just knocks that ball away. It's a real problem because now, when you do that. So now you have either Bogut roaming or Draymond Green roaming off of Tony Allen, and it forced him to take Tony Allen out. It's really a problem. Now, this got him a really nice off-footed layup, it looked like. Good contest by Marc Gasol, but he hits it. You can see this is already becoming a problem where, look at Marc Gasol's expression here. He's already down. Body language is upset, and they're in trouble here, down 19 points. So here comes the next shot. It's another example of Tony Allen being a real liability on offense where, as you can see, Draymond's supposed to be guarding him, but he's shadowing Gasol here. There's nowhere to go for him. And because Gasol could, in theory, take him off the dribble facing up because Bogut isn't as quick. But here comes Tony Allen. He steps up, nice right-left. It looks like it's in rhythm, but oh, my goodness, look at that shot. And then he gets the rebound. Oh, my goodness. He's like damaging the backboard on those shots. It's just not going to work. And as a result, Jaeger had to take him out, which means he can't defend, which is, it's kind of ruining their whole issue here. This was kind of interesting. Watch Klay Thompson. Now, I'm really enjoying, now this is Jeff Green on Klay Thompson. I'm really enjoying when Tony Allen is on him because Klay doesn't stop moving. He keeps moving around, and Tony Allen doesn't stop chasing him. So it's a really interesting cat and mouse game that it definitely is in favor of the Grizzlies right now. So watch Klay Thompson move out the ball. He doesn't give up after he gets in the air. He gives it to Bogut. Then he runs a whole circle around the court. Jeff Green just doesn't quite stay with him enough. And boom, he just rises up and nails that shot. I mean, that's an amazing shot, and one of the few that Klay hit, but really fun to watch when you're talking about off-the-ball movement. Now, here's an interesting example of they don't ice this. This is the Grizzlies like the high hedge. So what you're going to see here, if we get a nice clean freeze frame, is ice would have been Conley forcing Steph Curry back to his right, and that would put Marc Gasol over here in this area to contain, and that would allow Vince Carter to stay one pass away on his man. But instead, when they do this and let him use the screen, now Gasol high hedges are way too high. Well, actually, he doesn't do it that high because he's got a high hedge on Steph Curry who can pull anywhere in this area. Well, that means that with a good screen, Conley is now trailing, has no hope. Vince Carter has to help. There's no other way to do this. He has to help. Really easy pass, and this is the shot that Iguodala can hit all day. So if they're going to let him use that screen back toward the middle of the floor, they're going to get an open shot every single time. Now we skip over to the end of the third quarter. The game is, pretty much out of hand here. We're into the beginning of the fourth. And we're going to show you how, we always talk about not helping one pass away, right? And this drives me crazy. Jeff Green has very poor spatial awareness and does this a lot with his footwork and also with, with getting caught one pass away and just not knowing where he should be on defense. So it looks like we're having an issue with Jeff, too. Jeff, are you getting the questions up there, or we're not going to be able to get this to happen, huh? Let's see. Oh, I don't know if he's calling me. Let's see if he can send me a message here. Sorry, guys, live TV. So let me finish this up while we're talking, though. So Jeff Green's going to help. So watch what happens here on the pinch post action on the pitch. Jeff Green is going to see the curl. Now I like where Courtney Lee is relative to where he's doing a pretty good job to contest. And here comes Jeff Green leaving his feet one pass away, and that's just going to be a wide open shot every time for Draymond when you give him that much room, and he's going to hit that a lot of the time, especially tonight when he was hot. And then here's the last play we're going to show you, which is kind of caught my eye. It was the elevator play, but they kind of screwed it up a little bit because Vince Carter should be screening for Courtney Lee, but Courtney Lee kind of comes back up the top. There's no way this is right. But he goes up the top and he curls back around. So, okay, maybe they're whatever. And then to me, that, here comes Vince Carter. He should be going up in the middle in the elevator. Instead, he comes around the top of it, which is a little bit weird, but it actually works perfectly. I call it the elevator shaft since he's, not going through the elevators. Boom, rises up, gets enough space, and knocks it down. Unfortunately, it was very little too little too late. Vince Carter didn't really help them very much at all. I know he had 10 points, but he didn't overcome a lot of his defensive issues. So it looks like we've got our questions up here, so I can now screen share with you the questions from our buddy Jeff, who has been going through all your questions using the hashtag BBallShow, which I'll get to right now. So let's get through them. What shall we? All righty. Your thoughts on the reffing tonight? It feels like it was iffy on both ends. I feel like it was fair. So yeah, iffy is one way to put it. Certainly, they were letting him play, which I have no problem with. I didn't see anything egregious like we saw, last night in the Bulls game, but I thought it was fine. Let's see here. We have to move. We have a follow on the way. But let's see if I can figure out what the question was. What do you think the reason that the Rockets are struggling so much in the series? Well, here's an interesting thing that I'm wondering. Their energy is really, really low. It came right from the beginning, and I'm wondering if maybe they don't agree with the hack and DeAndre strategy, which they went to so early that it might just kind of bring them down. It certainly is interrupting the flow. And they don't look interested. So it's possible they don't agree with Mikal what he's doing. They don't want to play hard for that. Fascinating repercussion. Which team is making the better adjustments, players and or coaches? Well, certainly you have to say that the Warriors won the adjustments tonight with that putting Bogut onto Tony Allen, and then they switched it up. So they're keeping him guessing because then they put Draymond on Tony Allen. And letting him roam. So it's a real problem for the Grizzlies, and that's the Warriors won that adjustment. That's the big one of the game. How can the Grizz punish Bogut on Allen? So that's a great question. What they have to do is do the opposite, which is go to Gasol down low on the post, clear it out, and let him work on whoever's guarding him. Either it looks like it's going to be Draymond. Draymond has no advantage guarding him with his back to the basket. If we're going to see Marc Gasol face the basket and try and attack with a dribble, then that's going to be the advantage of Draymond Green. So they have to be able to attack that right away. Let me make sure we tell everybody that they can join us and ask some questions. Let me tell everybody on Twitter here. Okay, Moses. My son's name is Moses. Good name. Lee gives the Warriors size and can rebound, all-star caliber. How can Curry utilize him effectively? You know what? It's just not his thing. I don't know. He doesn't fit on this team, unfortunately. He looked okay, and he made that nice pass that we showed that got him a 3 in the corner. And by the way, that is what he's really good at. So in theory, you're right. But when they put him in the first half, every play he was involved with defensively ended up almost being a score, or it was a score. He snake bit. It might just be unlucky. I don't know what it is. But it's a real problem for them. And if they have a nice 12-point lead, sure, they can put him in. Maybe that can give him enough cushion where then his offense will help. But right now, it's an up and down problem for him, and he'll have to just take the limited minutes he gets. David Lee has been abysmal on defense, but are the little things offensively enough to earn him good second half minutes? Okay, so we just talked about that again. Not really, not with this team. Now, they got him some minutes because Maurice Spates was out, and that might be the only saving grace for him is he'll get those minutes. He ended up getting, 14 minutes. I suspect if the game was closer, he wouldn't have gotten as many. Coach, who do you got as the Final Four teams and your guess to win it all? Go Bulls. All right, Zach. Well, it's a great question. It's hard. I don't know if I can see. I feel like Washington has the advantage, although I guess without John Wall, though, it's so hard. But they're still right there against the Hawks. So I feel like it's either going to be the Bulls or Cleveland. So whoever wins that series makes it to the finals. And then I don't know. It's just the hardest question. I'll have to go with either the Bulls or Cleveland. I can't commit right now. And then on this side, it definitely feels like the Clippers are on some weird magical ride. I wouldn't be surprised to find them in the finals. Coach, let's see here. Zach has another question. Do you think the ref near the score table saw Blatt's timeout? I did. I had a Vine of it where we looked at him and it almost looked like he shook his head like, no, I'm not going to give it to you. If you saw the breakdown, Ronnie and I went over a little bit, and Ronnie gave a decent explanation that I kind of had to get convinced of after the fact, where they're going to really give you the benefit of the doubt. Like, you want it? Are you sure you want it? Do you need a lifeline? And Tyronn Lue was the lifeline, grabbed him back, and it looked like it was just enough time where they could sort of not accept the timeout that he wanted to call. Kind of brutal, but that's how it was. Let's see. The Kid Asthmatic asks, does Harrison Barnes only shoot 72% on his free throws because he doesn't turn? Great question. I got to study it, but you're right. I think he doesn't in my mind, thinking about it from that overhead camera whenever you see it. Obviously, some guys have been able to do it where they are square. They're 10 toes to the rim, and they can still make free throws at a higher rate. But, in 72% is nothing to sneeze at. But unless you were up in the 80s and I would be looking at you, I would definitely recommend getting a little bit of a turn at least, help that elbow and that the hip get forward toward the basket. Coach, if Tibbs is getting canned this season, no matter how the Bulls finish, would Scott Brooks be a good hire? I don't think so. I feel like, Scott Brooks, we kind of criticized him quite a bit about his fundamentals and his system or lack of. So, I don't know. It's a real shame that they can't make it work with Coach Tibbs because he's a great coach and they're getting everything they can out of that team. So we'll have to see, but I don't think that would be the best fit. Let's see. Jarrell asks, please talk about Mr. First Team All Defense, Last Team All Offense impact in the postgame show. You got it. Well, we talked about him a little bit, and by the way, he got caught again, a couple backdoors. The energy is there, and that should be allowed and commended because not everybody plays with that kind of manic energy. However, it's misplaced often, and I would say 25-35% of the time he's out of position and he's undisciplined and it gives up shots. It's hard, I don't know how else to explain it. And so I don't think he quite makes the first team. I had laid it out when I was thinking of, Marc Gasol. I tweeted it out. I had the list. I had 4 of them, and I wasn't sure who the 5th guy was. I guess, he could be considered for that 5th spot. Let's see, Marc Gasol, Kawhi, Jimmy Butler, Draymond Green. And, does Clay get in that conversation over Tony? There's some other guys in there. So it's a tough one. Does Memphis win a game, or are my Warriors ready to close in 6 games judging from this game? Well, if you judge from this game, yeah, you have to imagine that the Warriors have it. But I don't know. You cannot count the Grizzlies out. So obviously, Game 5 is always pivotal, and it might still be. It will be pivotal. The Game 5 absolutely is the pivotal game. It'll decide the series without any doubt in my mind. So let's see here. Are we out of questions? Because we might be. It looks like it. So, fantastic post-game show, fantastic halftime show. Let me go back to my screen. There we go. And again, we're going to be doing this a lot, at least a couple times a week. So don't forget to come back here and join us and ask your questions, because I'll answer anything you ask me about anything in the NBA going forward. So. Once again, thanks for being part of the great conversation. Great game tonight. Stay tuned for the breakdowns coming up tomorrow. And don't forget, sports fans, at BBallBreakdown, we're not a channel, we're a conversation. You in?